It's a lovely hot Saturday as usual as we've hit the climax of October. So we're just waiting like we don't know. But anyway, we are here just to give you whatever updates that we can give you on the sports fraternity. And I'm your host, Amos, aka Amore. And today, I'm joined by... introduce yourself, I'm used with that.
Good afternoon, dear viewers. It's been a lovely week, and we welcome you all to this fantastic show. And it's been an eventful week, Amos. We've seen the draws of the European Champions League. The draws were made this week immediately after the qualifiers, the pre-qualifiers ended during the week. We've also seen the National League coming to an end, the qualifiers for the National League, as well as the NAPSA organized tournament. So it was a very, very sporting week, and we look forward to the show.
And before we hit into all those details, would like to apologize for Augustine, who is not with us on set due to some issues. He's caught up with something, but I'm sure by next week we'll have him. But we thought like, okay, cool, we'll bring in someone to cover for him, and we have a guest, a special one in the studio, who is just going to join us a bit later on. But for now, before we continue giving you the updates on whatever that happened within the course of the week, you can also catch us live on Camnet TV, which is on an app that you can download on Play Store. Sorry, on Play Store. You can just download it, install it in your phone, and you can watch us live. And you can also follow us on Facebook, just like our page, which is Camnet TV, and you'll be able to watch us live from there. But for now, before we continue giving you more details and updates, let's just take a short break.
Chaos arises in the village after the death of senior Chief Kapale Pan. Land disputes arise.
Stupid.
Mysteries, mischief have become the order of the day.
Steve ni chani? Iwe Steve. Nikamba nawe nicha. Jerry.
While they fight for the land, they don't know they fight for something even greater. The oldest of them all, the remaining of their ancestral lineage, is the only one that knows the power that lies behind Kamsambo.
Chakumwa cha uzimu zuwa isa na mbire.
Kamsambo, the sacred spring.
Welcome back anyway. And hey, as we saw, I think within the course of this week, we saw the UEFA Champions League and the Europa League being grouped now, and we've seen our very own Papa Patson Daka and Enoch Mwepu being grouped in one of the deadliest groups for me. I don't know, Angorabson, how you would take that.
Firstly, I think when you look at RB Salzburg and their route to the qualifiers, their last round of the knockout games, I think they accounted for themselves very well. They went away to Maccabi Tel Aviv. They went and won away from home. Then the return fixture, we saw Patson Daka again being on target twice and proving to the whole Europe that the guy is worth the core from any big team across Europe. They've accounted for themselves very well. They played a great game. They won 3-1. And immediately after that game, the following day, we saw the draws being done, and they've been drawn in a very, very challenging group. Very, very challenging group. They will be facing the Super Cup champions, Bayern Munich, in their group, and it's a fantastic group. When you look at other groups, for example, you look at Group E and F, the composition of those two groups, I think for me those are the groups that you can probably say they are the mild groups, where RB Salzburg is and our two young lads that are representing the country very, very well. It's not an easy group, but I think they should be able to pick up something out of that group, because they have been in Europe. They have played in Europe. They've played through in the group stages before, and I think it's a fair draw for them when you look at their growth in the development of the football at the club.
I think we've seen how Patson has developed into a lethal pace in terms of goal poaching. And looking at it, them being grouped in that group, for me, I think after the game that they played, the one that they won, where he scored the brace, there was a question where he was asked to say, which teams would you love to face? And his answer was Barcelona. I would love if I were to face Barcelona. But at the end of the day, it turned out, somehow his dream came true, because they are going to face Atletico Madrid. But for me, my question would be, are we going to see the Patson Daka being lethal in that group?
Well, you see, football is a game of 90 minutes, and it's a game of chance. It's 11 against 11. They have been preparing. In fact, for me, the clubs that even stand a better chance of doing better in the group stages are these same clubs like RB Salzburg that had started from the qualifiers, because they've been consistent, they've been training towards that, they've been playing towards that. And when you look at the group stages now, I don't expect the two lads to fail, because the club itself, we saw during the course of the week, the coach, just before the game against Maccabi, the coach was full of praise for Patson Daka. You can tell that the coach is being very, very psychological on the boy. Busy praising the boy goes on the pitch and delivers. That's what we need from players. That's exactly what we need from players.
But anyway, before we even go further talking into whatever groups Patson Daka and Enoch Mepu are, my director upstairs, if you would just display on our screen the table to show the people and to see how the groupings are. So Angorapson, let's look at Group A for now, where there is Bayern, Atletico Madrid, RB Salzburg, and Lokomotiv. I don't know who would carry the day in that group for you, because for me, I feel like it's a challenging one where RB Salzburg is, looking at their current form.
We see Atletico Madrid, Bayern, and RB. Those three. Of course, not letting down when you look at Lokomotiv. For them to be in the group stages, they must have done their homework as well. But I think it will be an interesting group there, because when you look at Atletico Madrid, they recently got the services of Luis Suarez. And we saw Bayern the other week losing. And during the course of the week, they came back and beat Sevilla. For me, that group is a very, very tough group. And if you ask me, I would say Bayern and Atletico Madrid.
I remember us discussing during the week, you said for you, Group E and F, it's a friendly group. They are friendly games.
It is. Let's have a look at the group again. You will notice that Group E and F, all the teams that are in those two groups, they are very, very fairly placed. Look at where Liverpool is. There is, for example, Group E is Sevilla, Chelsea. What's that other team? Then there's Rennes from France as well. So for me, that's a very, very fair group for Frank Lampard. Frank Lampard in that group, if he doesn't qualify, he needs to get the sack. That is a very, very easy group. Look at where Borussia Dortmund is. There's Lazio, there's Club Brugge from Zenit St. Petersburg, and Club Brugge from Belgium. That is a very, very fair group when you look at it. Where PSG is, Man United is, RB Salzburg,
Leipzig.
That's a very, very, very tough group for me, if you ask me. Of course, the two, Paris and Man United, stand a better chance. But of course, we can't write off the other two teams they are in, and they would want to be a shocker to the teams.
But let's look at the bigger one there. Let's look at Juventus versus Barcelona. The Messi Ronaldo dispute come again.
For me, if you want to bring in the issues of Barcelona, they have a lot to do. They have a lot of homework to do across Europe for them to be the team that we know. They really need to fix their back room, because Juventus has been very consistent. Of course, when it comes to European football, Barcelona have also maintained their form, and but when you look at the happenings in the off season in this transfer window, which is still in the transfer window which was there, we saw Suarez leaving unceremoniously, and Messi commenting about it, and for them to come back together and start performing at a very, very high level, it won't be very easy. That's a very, very tough group. Juventus, the team is aging as well.
The old lady.
They are known for that, but I think they have accounted for themselves very, very well in terms of the previous groups that they have been. But looking at this particular one, that would be a very, very interesting fixture for them to face Barcelona in the Champions League.
Let's not shy away from the Europa group. The Europa groups, we've seen it also happened where if possibly you can just display for us the Europa table and see how their fixtures are. We've seen Arsenal is grouped in Group B, and we've got teams like I don't know for you which one you'd say it's a deadly group there, because as we can see, for me, even Arsenal, it's a walkover group, unless
Arsenal, you see, for me, Arsenal, they also have they have some work to do. I watched their game, and I watched Lacazette miss 2 clear goal-scoring opportunities
against Liverpool.
Against Liverpool, and you see, at this level of football, you cannot have a striker that misses such chances. It's very, very difficult. For me, the Europa League is more competitive than the Champions League, because the smaller clubs, the so-called smaller clubs, of course they are not small, they are known clubs. They come and rise up to the occasion and just cause some serious upsets. When you look at Group F, where there is Napoli and Real Sociedad, it's for me, these groups have been put in such a way that predictions are very, very easy to tell which
who is going to qualify.
The biggest group that will have issues is probably Group H. If you look at Group H, there's Celtic there and there's Milan.
Oh yeah.
Then in Group A has Roma, Young Boys. Those two. It's a tough. They are fair draws really when it.
But
comes to that.
let's look at where Tottenham is drawn in Group G. Oh, in J there.
It's Group J.
Yeah, it's in Group J. Tottenham.
There's Lask, and you see, like I have said, if you see the composition of these teams and the way they've been performing towards, in fact, I've been following this from the qualifiers up to this particular stage. I think these are all fair groups, and I think Mourinho was smiling when he saw the composition of his group, and probably he wants to. He wants to make a mark across Europe, because he hasn't started the Premier League very well. He's got issues with his team. They are full of comebacks. Of course, I saw their last game. I think they scored 7 in their last game, and which is a very, very good thing. I have seen for the first time Dele Alli being called to the team. He had issues with the coach, and for the first time he was called to the team, and we could see the boy was a bit rusty, but we hope he's going to pick up and just perform. Anyway,
to our viewers who are just joining us, you are glued to Off the Pitch, a show that gives you nothing but the best highlights in terms of sports, and we are just from giving a brief on the groupings in terms of UEFA groupings and the Europa groupings. But in local football, we saw within the course of this week, we had some qualification games that took place in terms of the National League. And it was an exciting one, and it's still exciting one because there is a lot which is being discussed in terms of where social media is involved. And there is a question scrolling down there where teams that have qualified, how do you feel in terms of the teams that have qualified? And I'll just name them for you. There is Kashikishi Warriors, there is Kongola Blades, City of Lusaka, Livingstone Pirates. These are the teams that qualified within the course of this week. But before we get into details, we'll be joined by our very special guest who is going to help us discuss on these teams that have qualified to the National League. But before he joins us on site, we went to visit where the under-17 girls team is training from, and we just had to get a brief interview with the coach to see the progress in terms of how the girls are fitting in and what's the outcome and what we should expect as a nation in terms of the under-17 women's team. So we brought you this clip, and we'll catch you on the other side with our guest.
I'm happy the girls are responding well, and the level of fitness now has increased, though not yet still on our best level. But and we are pushing the girls. Moreover, we are giving the girls a lot of hard time, meaning we want them to recover the fitness levels within a short period of time. But otherwise, the response has been overwhelming, and the girls are also accepting the situation, which is very important. And from our point of view as technical staff, we are trying to strengthen all angles of the game. Our priority at U17 is to make sure that our players are educated. Education is very important, and this is what we emphasize on. We've got some players that are missing due to exams that are coming up, and also we've got players that are going to graduate, and this is going to be their last assignment. But definitely we'll call upon you, the media, to come through and support us in the graduation ceremony. We want to graduate the children. They've learned a lot during the time we were with them at under-17, and the new entrants, they should also be working extremely hard to make sure that they emulate what their sisters have done. Our main goal is to see that we are feeding the U20 with a lot of players, and also the senior team as well, which is very important. So some of them, they might graduate even direct to the senior, but what is important for us is to see that we do the basics, we do what is supposed to.
Welcome back, and we apologize for that. I think we had some issues with the clip that you were supposed to see, but that was the women's under-17 coach just giving an update in terms of how fit the girls are and what their vision is in terms of producing women players in Zambia. So for me, I always emphasize to say, let's continue supporting women's football so that at least we should have a lot to be proud of. just like Patson Daga and Dinok Mepo are making us proud, and Barbara Banda is doing the same. So let's continue supporting women's football. And as I said earlier before we went on a break, I said we'll be joined by our guest, and our guest is here on set, Mr. Tandika. Welcome to Off the Pitch.
Oh, thank you. Good afternoon to you, and good afternoon to you as well, and to all the viewers out there. I'm delighted to make a debut.
A debut,
yeah.
And more debuts to come. Mr. Tandika, let's get straight into our National League. Let's look at the wonderful and busy week that was there concerning the teams that were playing the qualifying matches, I would say, going into the National League. I don't know, how can you analyze the whole tournament?
Well, I would analyze it to be one competitive, but also it's a tournament in which FAS went outside and helped the teams in terms of accommodation, because ordinarily it's not the duty of the Football Association of Zambia to accommodate and meet their needs. But I think they went out of their way. They met for all their 10 clubs, except one which declined the premises, and we saw it in the social media, which was very sad because that's the security premises. So common sense was that they accommodated where they're going to play. Miller Grounds, obviously, and the Nilai football ground, all of them, the Nilai area, and that was good. We saw teams picking up victories, the likes of Petauke at least. We've seen teams also coming, the likes of Luena, and somebody was hoping they would cross, but the team from Kwaha didn't make it, and the team from Kumava, Petauke didn't make it. So that's the name of football, because football is done on the field of play, on the pitch. So we saw City of Lusaka to be the best. The first 3 games they won, the last it was basically the formality. Then we saw also others fighting for their lives. Livingstone Pirates came in. Konkola Blaze at one point, they had to win through penalties, beating Kashikishi Warriors. So it tells you that Kashikishi may be a force to reckon with. And the Konkola Blaze has been before in the Super League until they were demoted. We've seen the many other players they've produced. I think the likes of the Sunzu, the father to Sunzu, by then was a good goalkeeper who is Congolese, and the people who felt he should be called the national team, but he didn't. But the children definitely have played for the national team. They were born here and things like that. So it's a tournament which has provided the stars. We've seen Starlets, a Jazz 11 player from Kashikishi Warriors, and this is the team basically used to be Namacha, coming from Murulo. And Abraham Katumbi has really transformed it, and they've got their own stadium. At one point I played and trained with them when I was at Kashikishi Basiki, because that's where we used to play. From there they've transformed themselves, which is a good thing. Yeah, we are talking from Mchelenge all the way. Now there's Livingstone Pirates. Pirates also has qualified into the National Division 1, and courtesy of their good work. Mr. Kasoka was one of those administrators really who had put things in place for this club. But we've seen City Amoto. We can't say much. City or Beba. It has bounced back. In fact, for me, they shouldn't be there. I mean, it should be obvious. This is the pride of Chilenge and Lusaka ultimately. I think that,
I have followed that team not too long. Their rise to the stage where they are cannot be given credit. Should go to Moses Katumbi's brother Abraham. He's really invested a lot in that team, and coincidentally, you will recall that the Kashikishi Warriors coach is Matthews Papa Kamwanshi. He was one of the lethal strikers in Zambia who actually played he featured for Zanaco Football Club at some point, and apparently we came to know very late that he was actually Congolese, and he had already played for the national team, and there were a lot of issues around that. But over and above that, that's the new coach that's a coach that is that has brought Kashikishi Warriors into the National League, the Eden National League. Yeah. And when you look at the level of sponsorship that they have put in that team, I wouldn't be surprised if they're going to spend 1 season in the National League and we'll see them in the Super League next season. Coming to talk about Livingstone Pirates. Pirates had a very good preseason. Remember, Pirates, Napsa Stars went and did their preseason in Livingstone. They had a couple of games with Livingstone Pirates. Zanaco Football Club recently was in Livingston as well for their pre-season. They had a couple of games against the Livingston Pirates. So for Pirates to come to those playoffs and perform the way they performed, it was because of the preparations they had, and probably the management of Livingston Pirates is very, very proud of the team. And for the first time, we'll have the longest journey in the National League, because imagine a fixture, Livingston Pirates, driving all the way to Kashikishi. From one end of the map to the other end of the map. I feel for the teams. And this is where sponsorship must come in. Heavy sponsorship, because you imagine you are traveling from Livingston to Kashikishi, you need a good 2 days on the road. And by the time you are recovering as a team, you play a game on a Saturday and a Sunday, and probably on a Sunday you start coming back. Your recovery, just your fatigue and your recovery. This is where we need to invest in the teams and start flying teams. Yeah. We have to get to those levels. Coming back to City of Lusaka again, I was very, very happy for City of Lusaka. That team, I'm a boy that has been brought up around that area in Chilenje, and that is a community team. And what Foley did, and we all know that at some point there was a rango, there were 2 City of Lusaka teams, and
different management.
With different managements, and we thank God that they finally resolved those issues, and the team is back in the national league. It's very, very disappointing to see them in the provincial league. The status of that team doesn't qualify them to be where they are. City of Lusaka should be playing in the Zambian Super League, but to see them back in the Eden National League, it's a very, very good credit for them, and I'm very proud of them. Very happy.
But for me, the question would be, what really caused the downfall of City of Lusaka? Because honestly speaking, how do you drop like that? From being in the Super League, even crossing the National League, going to a Division League.
Football is football. Football is football. You see, it's all about team management as well. You can't necessarily blame the players. There's sponsorship involved. There's, of course, the technical bench itself, the players themselves. There are so many factors that lead to that. Their downfall can be likened to the way Portsmouth has, what has happened to Portsmouth. They are nowhere near the Premier League now in England. So City of Lusaka, for me, it's a great comeback, great management. They have refocused, they regrouped, refocused, and here they are now. They are playing in the National League. Very, very proud of them, and I'm sure the community around Chilenje, when they qualified, I think they marked their presence in those qualifiers right from the first game, winning the first 3 games. By the way, they qualified before playing the last game. That's how serious they were. They really, really focused, and they played. And when it came to the last game, it was probably a game of saying, these guys are now playing a formality.
Fulfilling the fixture, basically.
It's basically fulfilling the fixture, but they did their homework very, very well. The tense one, where the penalty shootouts involving Konkola played, I had an opportunity to have a look at that particular match, and it was very, very tense. Very, very, very tense.
Mr. Tandiga, let's look at Kashikishi. It's something where we feel like it's new. It's an old team, but for soccer lovers who don't really follow the National Division League, they would look at, what's this team? Where is it coming from? And where is it going?
Right.
And earlier, Ngorapson said the investment that has been done in Kashikishi, it's more of they won't stay long in the National League.
True to the way.
Right?
Yeah, he's right. I mean, when I made the reference of playing for Kashikishi, then that was, you're talking of a period from 1989 watching up to 1997 at some point. Obviously, at some point, he was my schoolmate. Would go to Man Summit, then he goes there for holidays. But I stayed there, and I did my school at Kashikishi Basic School. So it was just a team. You'd find some Congolese would come or play. By then, there was not even these proper goalposts. You'd put poles and, sticks, yeah,
Yes.
Yeah, and they basically do it. So it has risen over time. We've seen with Abraham coming in view, they came into second division from amateur. By then, they'll just play that football, not competitive. There were better teams then in the 90s. Then you've seen them with time, exodus, a new generation of players came in. Then with good administration, they had to look for land where they've built their own stadium. It means how serious they are. you know, and they started training and bringing in with management. We saw them in second division. They came to a rise. At one point, they even beat mighty Mufuri Wanderers. It tells you it's not a team to play with, you know. Mighty was embarrassed, beaten by Kashikishi Warriors. And at some point, we've seen them. So with time and the progression of the team, you can see this team is headed for goodness. Because whether we like it or not, administrators, the people who manage the football game, the technical bench, and the players, these are interconnected. If you get everything right with the management, the people who are running football, the administrators of the game, they will put the right technical bench. That right technical bench will assemble right players, quality players who will be able to compete, and therefore you get results. So it has been a journey. It's not overnight. It has taken years, yes, but their way to success is quick because all these departments coordinate very well and everything is going on well. So they are
coming to what he's just saying. I had an opportunity to listen to the president of Kashikishi Warriors when the tournament ended and they qualified. The man is clearly not focused on the National League. You can see that their focus is on the Super League. And his message was echoed by the coach. The coach just said, you see, we've come in the National League. We are not even looking at it. Our eyes are on the Super League. And when you look at the message from the president, by the way, you may wish to know that Kashikishi Warriors is probably a sister club to TP Mazembe. And in terms of sponsorship, that team will rise to the occasion and prove everybody wrong. Probably they will be the only team that will manage to fly and play football.
Mm-hmm.
TP Mazembe is owned by Moise Katumbi. The brother Abraham is running Kashikishi Warriors. And they are not shy to say our sister club, TP Mazembe. And what is a TP Mazembe? We all know that it's one of the richest clubs around with their own plane. They don't use commercial flights when they're fulfilling their fixtures. They fly in their own plane. So when you see the vision that the president has and what he talked about after qualifying, that is a team to watch in the National League, for me.
Before we go into Kongola Blades, if you're just joining us, you're watching Off the Pitch, and we are trying to give you an update in terms of the teams that have qualified to the Aiden or maybe the National League for 2020-2021 season, and we've got newcomers, I would say, which is Kashikishi Warriors, and I feel like this team will be a team to reckon with, just like Agorabson has stated. Looking at it having a person or a president who is not looking at being in the National League, but looking ahead, being in the Super League. There is an early kickoff in terms of European leagues where the English Premier League is concerned, where Chelsea is facing Crystal Palace and the game kicks off at 13:30 sharp. You can catch that wherever you be, wherever you are, and hoping and wishing Chelsea for the good results before Isaac makes me apologize. We've looked at City of Lusaka, and we won't shy away from Konkola Blades, who've also played in the league before, and we don't know how they are down for wind as well. But looking at the level at which they are playing, and we've seen it's not an easy tournament because there are teams to reckon with. I'll talk of Kafio Celtic. It's a team that dominates and a team that's producing players. The likes of Enoch Mwepu, Patson Daka have gone through the ranks.
Francisco Mwepu.
So, I don't know. If we look at these four teams that have gone into the National League, Mr. Tandika, how is their form? How is it going to be for them? Are they going to last?
Well, ideally they should be able to compete. For City, the fact that those Rangos are behind them, they should be able to last and go into the Super League where they belong. Kashikishi definitely is a team on the rise. They should be able to. Maybe the battle maybe on our friends from Livingstone. The
council sponsored.
Right, exactly. So the council there has to up their game and make sure. By the way, Fazers wanted to improve their stadium, but the Ministry of Affairs and Local delayed in terms of title deed. There's the FIFA location fund they want to channel into their stadium. Maybe they'll be motivated then. But they need to do a lot since they've come in the National League. For Konkola, wow, they're depending on the mines. Actually, the person who, Gideon Mwenya, is their president. He's the one who is vying for first vice president, one of the candidates. Obviously, at one point was campaigning for presidents. When Kalusha Bwala came on the scene, he had to chicken out, and he became to support Kalusha. So he is their president. He has seen the team taking it to the national, in the Super League, demoted with it, and is in there. So we hope that the experience is acquired, and many others. Konkola should be able to compete at the highest level. I mean, this is the team we've talked about, and it has got a pedigree. If you look at it, we go back in the old days, some of the players who have gone through those lines. So we hope that they can also compete. But for those two, it's certain. For this third one, yes, they can. Then the other one, our friends from the tourist capital, there's a question mark. But who knows? The boys round.
I'm sorry. Mr. Tandika he's put a question mark on Livingston Pirates.
I have similar sentiments. It's a team of 11 on the pitch, and the opponents are 11, and they have many games to play in the league itself. The biggest concern is just on travel, and a council-sponsored team, it requires a lot of support. And for me, the businessmen out there in Livingstone, business entities and all organizations, I only hope that they have a great marketing team that will promote their brand, because moving away from the provincial games to the National League, it should be able to attract certain sponsors to associate themselves with the success of the club. If that happens, we will be good to go.
Anyway, before we proceed, let's just pick this call. Hello?
Hello, good afternoon, Amos.
Good afternoon. How are you, sir?
Oh, good afternoon. This is Augustine.
Naveda na dabo na chena mwitanira sa.
I'm Augustine. How are you?
Good afternoon, Augustine. We miss you, man.
Okay, I miss you too. Mr. Tandika Chiu, how are you, sir?
I'm all right. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon. I just wanted to contribute on the UEFA Champions League. I don't know if you have touched that already.
No, you can go ahead with your contribution on the UEFA.
I think the main interest for us, Zambia, is apart from that and Mwepu. I think it will be a very, very big season for them in terms of Champions League football. Because if you realize that the last Champions League, Barca didn't see a lot of game time. He was playing second fiddle to Haaland, but at least now he will be the main man. So it will be good. It's a good test for him to play against the likes of Bayern Munich, Atletico Madrid. I think it's very, very good for them. And a little bit on the playoffs, I think I was disappointed with the rules of the games going into penalties. I think I didn't understand that part, why Spurs had to go down that route. But all in all, congrats to City of Lusaka, Livingston Pirates, Kashikishi and Kongola Place for making it into the national league.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I think, thank you very much. That's what I wanted to contribute. I hope to be in the studio next week.
No, don't hope so. You'll be in the studio next week.
I'll be in the studio next week.
Thanks, Augustine. Enjoy your
Thank you very much, James.
Okay, cool.
All right.
That's Augustine, one of our co-analysts from here, and he's not with us, but he felt like, oh, okay. And he's already opened the phone line. So to our viewers who are just watching, the phone line is open. You can call through and give your contribution in terms of the National League, or if you've got any say in terms of the groupings of the UEFA and the Europa League. So I'll go back to Konkola Blades. The question still stands: are they also going to last, or they will go back in division football?
Well, in my view, they should be able to last. As I've said, the mines are pouring in money, so they've got good sponsorship. Why should they fail? Then it should be the problem of those who are leading the club. So I believe they have what it takes to go all the way in the Super League, even in the Super League where they were. It's only that they were demoted with the Mwenya, as I said, Gideon, who took them back downwards. So I believe that he should strive to take them back, and the fact that he's aspiring as one of the candidates to be vice president. So he should show us from the club perspective, so that what we get from clubs, because whether we like it or not, what we get from the clubs is a reflection of what is at football house, or what we are going to get. Yeah, so we need to see the works there and what is going to do. So the boy is in his court to prove himself.
You see, I think towards their preparations, when you look at the way they are preparing for the National League status, where they have qualified, Kongola Blades, they recently acquired the services of one Numba Mamba, who was there for a few days and left the club unceremoniously to join Zeso United.
Zegamambo.
There you can tell that probably, like he has said, the management of Kongola Blades, for me, it's a signal that they are planning and thinking big to get the services of Numba Mamba. Of course, it's unfortunate that it didn't last at the club, but it's the intent that we should appreciate from the management of Kongola Blades. If they're able to do that, then we are rest assured that even the coach that is going to take over for the rest of the coming season should be a credible coach with a lot of focus, because now they have to put their eyes on the Super League, because that is a very, very challenging. You see, for me, if you look at the National League, the setup of the National League, it's more complicated than the Premier League. The distances, competitiveness, and it's quite unfortunate that the team that I was hoping that would make it is Peterboke United. You see, when you look at their history in the past 3 seasons, they've really been pushing.
Yeah.
I was not shocked for Rio Nakonde. I was not very shocked. They have,
despite giving them a couple of
it's so surprising that suddenly, from a very, very high level of football to where they are now, it's very, very disappointing. But again, regardless of you going down, for me, it's not the number of times that you go down. It's how you pick up the pieces and move on.
Yeah.
They have not done that. That's where I have a problem. They have not done that. They have not. You see, even if you watch them play, it's not a club that is ambitious. I will come back to, okay, I had an opportunity yesterday, by the way, the NAPSA sponsored tournament. Looking at, we are discussing the 4 teams that have gone into the National League. I think I would love to bring in the teams that have come to the Super League as well. I had an opportunity to watch Indeni yesterday. Indeni had a game against NAPSA Stars at Heroes Stadium. And David Chirufia is the current coach for Indeni Football Club, and I could see, of course, NAPSA Stars rested their main team, and they are trying out other players. But it's very, very competitive, and Indeni were first to score, and NAPSA came back and equalized through Timothy Otieno, their new signee from Tuskers in Kenya. And it was very, very interesting. Very, very interesting to see the 2 teams play, and at 15 hours, of course, we saw the bashing of Forest Rangers by Green Buffaloes. Now I'm beginning to wonder if Forest Rangers is ready for the Champions League, for the CAF games. Because I watched the game, and for me, Green Buffaloes is just but an average club. When you look at the last 2-3 seasons, they are a mid-table team. And Forest Rangers has been pushing and pushing. The other season, they pushed and they missed the qualifiers by very, very, very small margin. When you look at their preparations for the CAF games, which are starting very soon, the game they played yesterday, of course, Amos, you are going to tell me that maybe this tournament is a preparatory tournament for trying out new players. But even if you are trying out new players, remember they got rid of 6 veterans. One of them, we discussed Conrad Luchanga's departure from Forest Rangers. And ceremoniously,
the veteran.
He's not even a veteran. He's a young boy who should just be disciplined and remain focused. He still has some football in his legs. I hear there are rumors that he's trying to pull a move to the neighbors in Ndola. What are his neighbors?
He's remaining that side.
No, he wants to join.
the teams which are in Ndola, the Zesco.
No, Zesco, Butekon. Yeah, he's training with Butekon. I don't know why I missed that one.
Why when we look at young talent starts from the National League. And looking at how you've been following the National League, or maybe the teams that qualified, are we seeing future stars coming from these teams?
Well, partly would say yes, but you see the problem, the way our league or the clubs behave in the Super League. I'll give you a practical example. For example, Green Buffaloes. Green Buffaloes, yes, an average team, they have players assembled. If the player does not stick what do? They send them downwards to the young
Riflemen.
Yeah, or young Green Eagles, young Green Buffaloes, which is not correct because supposed to be young players are sending all the way to the Super League, and like a Madala going to division to go to Division 1 and do what? So our development has to change. It should be bottom-up approach, and for me, this is what I want to see in clubs. One club should have nurseries or reserves where there are these younger players who will be used in that feeder kind of arrangement. But also these, when we talk of Division 1 provincial leagues, really we should be talking of younger players who should be making their way to the Super League, to the National League, then from National Division 1 League to the Super League, ultimately the national team. In fact, others of those age groups, they can be identified even in National Division 1, these provincial leagues, and that's where they are picked. So but the clubs don't think that way, in terms of this investment. They always want the other way around. So there are a few stars, yes, obviously, in these teams. But I think the confusion comes in when sometimes they come into the Super League, the way they handle these matters. So I believe that clubs should have a philosophy and see where they are going, I believe each club should have what I call short-term players, mid-term players, and long-term. At least those 3 categories. Yeah, so that you don't phase or completely the whole team. There will be others who remain. There will also others whom you may use as understudies. And I think that's one of the big problems, which is at the club level, which reflects to the national team. Hopefully, Mitchell can help with this, and Faz is doing this. Yeah. So we hope.
We saw that with Zesco United. Zesco United, they've lived with that example. We saw 5, 6 young players from their necessary teams being taken over to the main team, which is a good thing, and I'm only hoping that other clubs can emulate that and start. We've seen Zanaco also, they promoted, is it 2 or 3 from young Zanaco to the main team, which is a very, very good side, and the young ones who were promoted are very, very ambitious, and one of them had an opportunity to talk to them, and they are quite ambitious for the coming season. And like right now, Amos, there's a game going on at Hero Stadium. Green Eagles is facing Forest Rangers, and the game is started, and the little one this afternoon will be Napsa Stars facing Zanaco. For me, I want to see Green Eagles. I would have loved to be there to watch that game because I want to see how their preparations for the CAF games are going on, because that is one of the representatives that we have at the moment, and they just need to up their game and just show why they deserve to be playing in the CAF games.
Anyway, if you're just joining us, we are discussing issues in terms of National League today. That's mostly of our concentration, because we want to look in terms of the teams that have qualified and the teams that are already in the National League, and how tough and hard and strong the league is. But all in all, mostly we go around trying to profile players that we meet. And this time around, we had the chance to profile someone who plays for Kawe Warriors, but he was here in Osaka just to have fun and see his family. And we caught up with him where he was also participating in one of the tournaments that just came to an end. If our player's profile is ready, sorry, we can have it.
My name is Sidin Piri. Yeah, my position is a center back and right back. I play for Cowboys. I started my football in 2005 in Kamanga. By then we had a team called Banaba Israel. Yes, and it later changed into Kamanga Rangers. Then I had to move to Copper Belt for school, of course. Then I joined Ndola Police, 2nd Division. My brother used to play football. I was a good center back as well as a right back. Due to circumstances, he had to quit football Then he joined the Zambia Police Service. There's nothing which I do. Just be with my family, my wife, of course. In Africa, Zambian Premier League, it has developed a lot. People are now adapting, and it's too competitive compared to other clubs. But definitely, because we don't participate much in continental football, reaching to the semi-finals, the finals. So I think in due course we might join the Zamalek, TP Mazembe, Sundowns in the years to come. Yeah, those are one of the best memories in football, you know. Being a champion in Africa, it's not easy. We worked for that cup. It was so intense, and the experience which we had, though I never had any game, I was one of the bench warmers. So I like rice.
Rice?
Yes, yes. It's George Rwandamina. Yes, and the right back, of course. I'm one of the best. Yes. Then the left back, Zakaria Chilongosh. Yes. Then the centre backs, these are the local players or the international?
In the Zambian League.
In the Zambian League?
Whether international?
David Owino Diambo. That one is my favorite. Is Dominic Shant for Power Warriors, good defender. Holding midfielder is Kondwani Tonka. Yes. Attacking, we have Ali Sadiq, Power Warriors from Zimbabwe, is one of the best. Then we have a dance band, Ledaros, is my coach. He's one of the best, though he's never had much game time.
You know, that was Sydney P, a player who plays for Kawe Warriors as a right back. I'm sure most of you know him. He was part of the under-20 national team that won the AFCON. That was in 2017. And we saw the South African national team coach he named his squad, and we expect Michu to name his squad that will play both friendlies by tomorrow. It's tomorrow. So, Angorapson, I'll go straight to you. Any names that you expect to see? Any surprising name? Because already there's a thing that Luambo Msonda has already been caught. So I don't know if you still expect furthermore surprising names.
Well, it's not a very big surprise for me because he already named the 40, so he's just trimming down the team from 40
to 24
to the desired 24 that are going to face the Chimwene boys, as well as the South Africa, the South Africa national team. For me, the players that are going to be left behind, they will be left behind because he cannot carry all of them. For me, his choice of 40 simply shows that he has seen something, the 40 players that he got to the team, and the ones who would be dropped, they should just take cut. It's very, very difficult. I cannot be predictive and say I'm expecting this player to be there. Of course, I've got my own opinion, but we have to wait for him to unveil the squad, that the final list of 24 that is going to tell us tomorrow, so that we see how they will fare against Achimwene before we decide how he's going to trim the team down again, because now he has to accommodate the foreign-based players as we face Botswana in this coming qualifiers.
Mr. Tandik?
Yeah. Well, I think apart from those local players, I think there's a criteria. Is it calling 7 from Europe, then another 5 or so from across Africa continent? Those are foreign-based. Sources are saying it's like Calabar has been left. So we had to see 2 have been picked from TP Mazembe that we hear. But obviously the coach will have to unveil tomorrow. All in all, the coach basically should not go for names. He should look at players who've been performing. I mean, some of them you can even say, this one should be able to make a cut. I mean, the way us who've watched South African League, maybe the major surprises from, wait and see. I hope the goalkeeper for Polokwane, Cyril, will be considered. Cyril, what's the other name? Cyril Chibwe.
Oh, yeah.
He's been a very good goalkeeper, and I hope that can be long-term study. For the local ones, we know Rabson will not be part of it. Would have loved to see Rabson Chelenganga for NAPSA. In my view, was the best goalkeeper in the season of all. But also the goalkeeper's coach should be, is saying he's looking at ahead. So he's gotten those who are below 30. And for him, he's saying he has never failed in his task to groom. So wait and see. From those he's going to have.
He has bragging rights, actually.
Yeah.
He says he has trained goalkeepers across Europe. And I think for me, he had the point, had the chance to watch them in training. I think his focus on the goalkeepers was on point, because he had every reason for the goalkeepers that he called to the team.
Yeah.
A very good explanation that he gave on Sebastian Mwange, because we all know that Sebastian was off the pitch 75% of the season due to injury. But there he went and says, no, he's been to the national team before. Let's see what he has.
He has to give.
Yeah, and I think for me, he has a point to prove when you look at his coaching career. 25 years of coaching goalkeepers, and the success rate of the goalkeepers that have gone through his hands is there to be seen by everybody. So I don't doubt that part when it comes to his goalkeeping department. Of course, that should not take away the fact that Kennedy is still the best goalkeeper that Zambia has at the moment.
Yeah, but you should also say that people may be comforted because Tostan Sabate is not near. Yeah, so, well, ultimately. So we are
is he even close to his own club?
No, even his club.
Even at his club, they left him.
Yeah,
but those are the ones that have been to the national team.
Yeah, exactly. And the people have been asking, what about this under-23 goalkeeper? Mangana has been on the rise. But again, we leave it to the coach, because what Mitch was very careful when he congratulated Kennedy Mwene after they won the league. He congratulated him and he was asked, is he going to pick him? He says, no, it's up to those. So it's left to the goalkeeper's coach to do the job. Then the head coach will have the final list and he will name them. So for me, whoever is going to be picked for now, let's support and see. But obviously, where we feel there are question marks, some of us will give corrective criticism.
Corrective criticism. But when we look at the two friendlies, I'll start with the Achimwene one.
Actually,
the one that I'm going for now.
Okay.
Rapson, the Achimwene friendly. Do you feel like at the rate at which we want to develop our team back into maybe the squad that we had in 2012, are certain teams okay to have friendlies with in terms of our growing rates?
Like I said last week, Amos, the level where we are now as a country in terms of football, it's a situation where we have to go back to the drawing board. We've gone back to the drawing board. We are currently at the drawing board, starting afresh to build a squad that will challenge the owners of 2012. The owners we got as a country in 2012 by being crowned African champions. We've had a mess in these past years from 2013 coming down up to this year. But what we have seen Michu is doing is he's building up. And for me, coming back to your question of playing the Achimwene boys, the Malawi national team, that is where we are. We shouldn't even think otherwise. That is where we are. We start from there. We have a game against South Africa coming up again. So you can see that even our build-up is actually on point. You are not going to use your name because you are Zambia national soccer team. You go and arrange a friendly against the likes of Nigeria, the likes of... because they won't even accept, probably. Yeah. Because you have everything to gain and they have everything to lose. So the ones that, like this particular friendly against Malawi, if you ask me, Malawi is gaining quite a lot because for them, traction is, Zambia is a great team. They have won the Africa Cup before, and to play friendly against them is a very, very big plus for them. On our end as well, I am saying we have failed to qualify in the last few AFCONs, and let's just get down to where we are and start from there again. So it will be a very, very tough encounter. I watched the last game, Malawi came to Nkoloma Stadium, and I could see Bereki Jimmy Njovu He was on point on that day, and it was a very, very, very good game. And I think that was Mitchell's first game in charge before COVID-19 took us by storm. But it was a very, very good game, and it will be a very, very good game to meet the Malawi national team in a friendly.
Let's look at the tough quest that we have against South Africa.
Yeah, and if you look at, for example, the way the technical bench has arranged its friendlies, initially there's supposed to be 2, then Malawi will be brought in the picture. Now, coaches will tell you, sometimes you pick a very strong team, you play, and sometimes a very weak team. The idea is you beat them silly, then to motivate the players. But in this case, obviously, we're saying the coach should be looking at the coordination, because Malawi, South Africa, these are in the COSAFA region. So, yes, Malawi will do a lot of experimentation. Definitely is not anywhere near. So with South Africa is 13th in Africa, better ranked than Zambia, CAF ranking. Zambia is on 18th, if not 19th. Yeah. So then you look at Kenya. Kenya should be 25th. So one team is for playing to assess them as they meet Botswana. That's South Africa, Malawi, COSAFA. And then the playing of Kenya, because in Chan, we're in the same group with Tanzania, East African. So whichever way you look at it, the coach wants to see reasons and lessons to learn on how we're going to fare with these opponents when we meet them. Yeah, so I don't know which question.
By the way, it's a very, very tight schedule. It's a very, very tight schedule. Immediately after we play Botswana, there are these games that the Chinese around the corner as well. So, like I said, even the 40 players that were called and the ones that will be dropped off, it's just an issue of being dropped because we have a game to play. I don't think they will be dropped forever. They will be dropped. A team gets selected. You play Malawi, you play South Africa. By the way, South Africa has also brought in Pesitawe. They are seriously considered.
Yeah, that's why I even asked to say South Africa named their team. They brought in Pesitawe. But are we also seeing us calling in players like, obviously, the likes of Patson Daga?
Yeah, Patson should be there, Mwepo should be there, definitely, because he talked of a number you get from Europe. And when you look at Europe, those are ones shining. Obviously, in Belgium, that's when the league resumed, and we saw Fashion Sakara scoring a brace. So we don't know whether they could be part of the team. But definitely, there will be professionals and those who are foreign based. Now, those who are foreign based are those who are playing outside Zambia, but in the continent of Africa. Definitely, those are foreign based. So you have a mix and some local players. And that game will be away in South Africa. So it will be even more competitive because we'll be playing away from home in their backyard.
But again, when you look at the European fixtures and the way the teams are playing in Europe, they will be very, very hesitant to release players. Very, very hesitant because of COVID-19. And, you know, most of the teams, the way they are keeping players, they are keeping them in the bubble. No visiting home, stay in the team. Like these past 2 weeks where we have seen fixtures like, is it Tottenham? I think Tottenham is playing, they played, is it 7 games in 13 days?
Yeah.
So it's very, very difficult for the European clubs to release the players to come to Africa to play football. It's a very huge risk. If we are going to face resistance from the clubs to release players, I wouldn't be surprised because these are friendlies. And the aspect of the clubs losing out when a player comes to play for Zambia, and by the time they are going back, they have to be quarantined for some period. And remember the rules of the game of football now. I think UEFA has been very, very strong. As long as, even if you have 5-7 players with COVID, you have an opportunity to register a very, very huge squad. So they are not giving an excuse. Games have to go on. But the question is, if you release good players, I'll give you an example of Patson Daka and Dino Mwepo. If they come to Africa, for example, and they go back, the period of quarantine for them to be assessed whether they have COVID or not before they can join the rest of the club. Is the coach willing to risk those games in that quarantine period? What is going to happen to him? So, and you know, like now, like Augustine said, Patson Daka, he's the main man now. And I'm not just concentrating on the Zambian players abroad. Even these other countries are facing the same thing. Teams in Europe are very, very hesitant to release players. So let's see how it goes and which players will be available. We see how we can tackle the South African national team.
Yeah, but also the issues of the flights. In certain countries, they don't fly because of COVID-19. You know, their space has been grounded. So how will they move? There are all those concerns. Look at South Africa. They are still in lockdown. There are even question marks whether the Zambia game will go ahead, subject to authorities. So whether we like it or not, under COVID-19, it's the authorities who have power, who dictate, especially health experts, whether games should be played or not. And that's why FIFA has recognized that. Although there's a 2 weeks which a club should be able to release. In these circumstances, and because different and individual countries have got their own measures applied. Yes, internal. So it's very difficult.
And FIFA was very cognizant of that fact to say we can allow games to proceed, but remember these countries are governed by laws. So depending on the laws of that particular country, whether they will be allowed to have games or not, it's up to them. But FIFA says we'll respect what each country has. So we have to wait and see.
Anyway, let's not shy away from one of the biggest news, or one of the surprising news, where we saw Pitso Mosimane. Which word was Augustine using? On a what basis? Was he relieved from his duties?
Pitso.
Pitso resigned.
No, yeah, he left. He had
On moral grounds?
He had to go.
No. Pitso Mosimane, of course, there were some issues in their backroom. They had issues in the backroom, but those were very manageable, and I doubt if that led to his departure. For me, I would say the financial gain that was thrown on the table by the Egyptian club, I doubt if anyone in their right frame of mind would say no. But again, when you look at the setup of the North African team, itself, that's a very, very big club on the African continent. They have conquered Africa a couple of times.
They're all conquering team, actually, in CAF competition.
They have conquered Africa. They have had European managers at the club before. But now to break the barriers to get Pitso, who's just from winning the Champions League in Africa, and move from South Africa to go and coach a team in North Africa, football has changed in Africa. It has really developed and it has really changed. But again, you see, it is rumored that his pay is over by 400%. Who would refuse $270,000 in a month, really? And you know, for me, he has a very, very huge battle. That is a very, very ambitious club. Very, very ambitious club. Let's not take anything away from Awali. Very ambitious club. They have all the money. If you say you want this player, that is a club that can fail or to get any player they want. The only thing they want is conquering Africa in totality.
Which they've already done.
They have done, but you see, they have to maintain a certain level, because that is a club that raises about $20 million in one season for games. And when you have a club like that, with that kind of setup where just get takings, their games are so much on demand that just from the games that they play at home, if the club can raise $20 million and you get a coach like Pitso Mosimane's caliber to go and coach that team, the expectations are very, very high.
Meaning more get takings.
Yeah. The expectations are very high, and I'm only hoping that he's going to rise to the occasion. He's a very, very good coach. Let's not take anything away from him. But that club is very ambitious. If he's going to last for 6 months, we'll clap for him. He has to be very, very focused. If he doesn't produce results, that's a club that will say, here's the exit door.
Yeah, and it's very difficult when you go there, because Pitts was built a name as a Sir Alex Ferguson in South Africa.
He's a brand.
He's won the tennis title 5 in his 8 seasons where he's been. He's equaled the Kaizer Chiefs all-time great record. So, and he won in a row consecutively. It's the first South African, but also I think the thing which I'm proud of, for Alali to go for the man of the color. It's unprecedented.
That's where a lot of people
exactly.
I do want him to touch that.
Yeah, so it tells you that, like Ramson has alluded, football has really changed.
It has really
because
changed.
I mean, by no means, these are the people who look foreign coach, expatriate, other color, but for him to go there, we hope they'll give him time to settle, because at Al-Ahly they would want to win every day and every time they are playing. You know, I mean, you remember our only coach was sacked after he lost to TP Mazembe in Champions League, that was the end. Despite winning them the Arab Cup, Al Ahly, where they won 3-0, but Mitchell was shown the exit door. So I only hope that they'll be patient enough to give him all the time and to settle. And we're wishing him all the best since he's at that level. I mean, that's an international team.
The beauty of that team, when they got the services of Pizzo, he's been given leeway to choose his own stuff. That's the beauty about that club. So you are simply being told, you are crucifying yourself. Bring whoever you want to bring. What we want you to get are these results, and that is what we want.
Are we seeing him flocking players from Mamelodi Sundowns to Al Ahly?
Every coach has got his own type of players that he wants, but I guess he will take his time because he needs to assess the players that are currently at the club. You assess the players that are at the club, you look at the players where you are coming from, see what you need to do. But for me, I think Al Ahly just needs to be a bit patient on him. Yeah. They need to be patient. He needs to build a philosophy. To begin with, he needs to understand the philosophy and the policies of that club. Because you can't go and make drastic changes and expect results instantly. One, that club, the respect of the fans by the club is very, very highly rated. And we saw Pizzo being paraded and allowing the fans to just come and welcome him. That's how they value the fans. Remember, I said they raise $20 million from fans every single season from the fans. So they have that kind of respect for the fans, and they just need to be very patient for him to deliver the results.
Mr. Tandika, time is not on our side. Your last remarks.
Oh, my last remarks. All I would say is I'll talk about, I think, our ladies who are found to be overweight and things like that. I think these ladies need to be monitored on and off.
Are they overweight?
Yeah, overweight.
Of course,
others have said fat, although that may be offensive word to our girls, but I think they need to keep fit. Yeah, because women, it was even suspected that they could decide to be mothers. So I think they need to make sure that they focus on 2021, Tokyo 2021 Olympics, and they shouldn't lose sight. Whatever comes their way, they should refrain, they should have perseverance, and indeed discipline, and that commitment, looking at what lies ahead of them. And we are wishing them all the best as they camp for under 15 or under 16 tournament. Again, let's keep these players. Sabobo Banda, congratulations, being the top scorer there at the tournament, despite Zambia's premature exit because of coronavirus issue. But we're wishing them all the best, and that they will continue to play for pride for their country, Zambia.
For me, I think kudos to Napsa Stars. It's unprecedented. They've organized the 6-team tournament, and out of the 4 teams that qualified for the CAF Games, 3 of them are actually participating in the tournament. It's a 3-day tournament. It's ending tomorrow. And I would like to appreciate and thank management at Napsa Stars for coming up with this initiative. And it's a very, very positive thing. And like I have said, there's Forest Rangers and Green Eagles. The game is currently on, and at 15 hours, Napsa Stars is taking on Zanaco Football Club. For me, that is a change in the dimension of preparing for the coming season, and clubs should start emulating these preparations so that we are on the right track, because we have 3 teams that are participating in the CAF games, and they are actually in the same tournament, and kudos to them. I couldn't just let that go, and we just have to give credit where it is due.
Anyway, looking at time not being on our side, we thank the viewers that were glued to their TV and those who've managed to catch us live on Facebook. We had Mr. Tandika, who just made his debut today. He will be our regular guest, so don't get shocked whenever you see him on Say It With Us, because we look at people who are able to give you the best information in terms of football. And just a quick one, Chelsea is playing against Crystal Palace, and the game is still 0-0. Anyway, on behalf of the whole entire crew, I've been your host, Amos, aka Amore, and we'll catch you next week with other exciting information in terms of where football is involved. For now, we are out.